Hello YouTube, Vlogonairix Rancy, and today my video is the third in a series of response videos to reasonable questions for anti-SJWs. As I'm an anti-SJW, I've decided to respond. With all of that out of the way, let's begin.
One of the major arguments that I see in many of your videos is that it is possible to separate criticism of the religion of Islam from the actual Muslim people. And yet, this line seems to be crossed very often. I see things like raghead or camel fucker or other things like that in your comment sections. I see people taking very serious shots at Muslims in videos and hangouts, and they don't get called out. At least not that I can see. So my question is this: why should a person of conscience who is concerned about the Muslim people and their community not being harmed or mistreated, why should they believe that you're actually only attempting to look at the ideas and talk about the ideas if you ignore bigotry that's occurring right in front of you? And in that light, would you be willing to break bread and salt with moderate Muslim people on your videos, have hangouts, invite them to your channels, just in order to build some bridges there and to learn more about what they think and how they feel and what their experience has been, so that information and knowledge can be furthered?
Wow, that is a very long question. There does, shamefully, appear to be a particularly ravenous group of anti-SJWs who are Muslim phobes, not to be confused with Islamophobe. It is also disappointing that they aren't called out more regularly for their anti-Muslim bigotry. AIU, Live Life 8072, and increasingly Sargon of Akkad and Logic in particular are getting really bad with that. I feel like fear of being labelled an SJW for trying to defend Muslims from these sort of attacks is why they aren't called out more often. I would like to build bridges. I have a soft spot for Malala Yousafzai, and I would love to have discussions with Waleed Alai, for example, about that.
Do you deny that systemic racism against black people is like a thing in general? If so, what? Okay, just step over, just cover your ears for a second and let the smart people talk. If not, why is it so much more important to you to demonize groups like Black Lives Matter than to actually use your platforms to discuss actual solutions to issues surrounding race and racism?
I do want to point out that this guy committed the loaded question fallacy. The second part of his three-part question I won't address because I do believe, at least in the US, that systemic racism against blacks still exists. The issue with, for example, Black Lives Matter is that it has been corrupted. Members of the New Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, and the Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, for three examples, are hiding under the Black Lives Matter label to justify their anti-white and typically anti-Semitic bigotry. A few anti-SJW YouTubers have proposed solutions. TJ and Kyle Kalinske are two big examples, but it probably does need to be discussed a bit more. I do agree on that.
If you've ever discussed or done a video about black on black crime, when are you going to do a video about white on white crime and what we, as white people, can do to solve the problems in our community?
As I haven't done a video on black crime, this question is irrelevant to me.
Why is a literal teenager's different definition of racism from you so horrifying that you all have to go, "No! No, we have to stop him! We've got to debunk him now! Ah!"
Hypocrisy, because she would be extremely outraged if people made generalizations about groups that she identifies with. Yet she is fine with casting generalizations about huge swaths of the population.
Wherever did you get the idea that racism was a self-applied identity? And if the only true racists are the racists who self-identify as racists, how can we ever expect to make any social progress to reduce racism? Or did I just answer my own question?
No, the only form of racism that exists is the dictionary definition of racism, not people who self-identify as racists. I'll use Donald Trump as an example. Trump doesn't think he's a racist. I'm agnostic about whether he's racist or not, but a lot of people have put the racist label on him. You didn't answer your question, Steve, but we can make social progress by calling out racists, even if they claim they're not. People do not have to self-identify as racist to be racist. Lots of conservatives say they aren't racist, but they clearly are.
You often say that you are for equality of opportunity, but if people of color, for instance, have to overcome barriers whites do not, such as discrimination and unequal treatment, as are well documented in various studies, then how can the current situation be thought of as equal opportunity in any real way? And why do you consider it racist to discuss these issues?
We simply don't live in a society that is opportunity equal. Anybody who believes that is stupid. It's more equal now than it was, but we still have a way to go. The biggest inequality of opportunity is wealth. That is the biggest barrier, and it affects blacks disproportionately. If we remove money in politics, that would be a massive first step towards solving it.
Do you understand basic English syntax? Like, if I say this cat is pretty, I don't mean that all other cats aren't pretty. Like, do you really not get why saying all lives matter in response to Black Lives Matter is not only racially insensitive, but just patently ridiculous?
I can see where you're coming from with that question. I don't think the term all lives matter is racist or preposterous, though. It includes black people as part of everybody's lives being important. As an analogy, all people need to eat. So give the black person their damn food, or all lives matter. So don't shoot that unarmed black person, cop. Some idiots use it as a response to Black Lives Matter, but I see all lives matter like all lives matter, including black lives.
Isn't it offensive to men to assume that a man could only ever want equality for women, and therefore be comfortable with feminism as a whole in order to get laid, and that reduces us to beasts? If that was the case, wouldn't I attempt to get laid from my views instead of not ever trying that?
There have been a number of cases where male feminists are only feminists because they want to have sex with feminists. I don't think all male feminists do this. In fact, I don't think a majority of male feminists do this. Many men really do believe in the feminist ideology, and they're not interested in getting laid. You do seem to be an example of the latter, and that is nice.
If you say you're an egalitarian, will you call out the man-hating slurs that you see coming from people within your community? People who use terms like cuck, beta male, faggot, or mangina? All of these things basically distill men down into thinking that the most important thing about them is to be having sex with a woman. That's rather offensive. So what are you doing to stop this kind of behavior in your community?
As an egalitarian, I start by not using those terms, and I continue fighting misandry by calling out people who use those terms. So that is the end of part 3 of my series of responses to reasonable questions for anti-SJWs. Tune in tomorrow for part 4, a few more general questions. Please rate, comment, share and subscribe, and have a great day, everyone.